you are getting a real raw behind the scenes of CLG International as I go through this metamorphosis and this transition and evolution. I noticed that there was like, it, it, it felt like a wall. And instead of just plowing through normal style, like, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog going through, like how vintage CLG would go, I became like really aware and was like, okay, I'm gonna Nancy Drew this, like, let's figure out what this is, because I had like, I know my purpose, right? I know my compelling why. These are like 3 reasons if you're not, if you're finding that you're like hitting a block or a wall, what tomato, whatever the fuck you want to call it. These are like the 3, like the 3 things that usually it's one of those 3 is not clicking. So 1, you don't really know why you're doing it, or you haven't connected to like your bigger why or like your sense of purpose. I had that. Okay. Number 2 was not having healthy urgency. So like unhealthy urgency is like when you're fear that like you're going to like get in trouble, or like I have to move my car because I'm going to get a ticket for street cleaning, or I have to go to work because if I don't, then I'm going to get fired. Like that is unhealthy urgency. Healthy urgency is when you are motivated because it's something that you actually want. Like not because you're trying to get away from something, but because you're like choosing to like run towards something because it's fun. And so for me, it is really fun to help you become unfuckwithable. It for me is really fun to create prosperity for myself and my family. Like that is like, and it's play, and like I love learning. I love all of this stuff. It's like why I do it. So for me, I'm like, okay, I have number 2. And number 3 is not knowing how, and like confusion of like, you know, when you're in a spot and you're like, I literally don't know what to do, or you're like so overwhelmed by the paradox of choice, you freeze. And I had like very clear experiments that I could try. I wasn't at the end of my rope where like I tried everything, which by the way is always a lie. If you're saying you tried everything, talk to me, because I can promise you there's at least 1,000 things you haven't tried yet. So I was like, okay, I had all of those, but I was noticing like I was like the inertia would just like stop, or I would just, if anything else seemed more tempting. Like going to the DMV seemed more tempting than stepping into marketing my business. And I was like, what the fuck is happening here? And I realized that like something was off, and it was that like I had outgrown it, and outgrown more like the costume that I was wearing, or like the veneer. And part of that is Pretty Podcast, and what like I want to actually be saying and what I want to be helping people with. And so I followed my spirit guides, and I stopped arguing with myself, and I looked at not just my human design, but the human design of CLG International and my business, which is so fucking cool to do, by the way. Like any, you know, businesses are a living, breathing thing, your vocation, right? Like there's energy there. And whether it's your dog, your kids, your partner, whether it's something with a heartbeat or just something else that is living, you can see like it has its own energy, and you using the tool of human design, you can see how you and that energy like can best work together, like in harmony. And I've like known this, but I always dismissed it. I was arguing with myself. I was like, that's a waste of time. That's a distraction. And how do I actually know the date and the time? Like, you know, all this like drama. So I did it. And then it was like, everything just like came together, and it made it so clear to me on like, this is what I need. Like, this is what's staying, this is what's leaving, and like, this is how motherfucking CLG is showing up from now on. And that's what's happening.